adult child. Now, when it comes to talking about narcissistic families, this isn't always an easy topic to cover. It can be difficult enough when it's the parent who is the narcissist. The very person who is supposed to love you, care for you, nurture you, guide you, is the very person who hurt you. Or having a narcissistic brother or sister, someone you've had maybe a lifelong close relationship with, is the very person who goes out of the way to hurt you, sometimes out of envy, vindictiveness, or maybe just for their own gratification. But the thing about being a parent is, you never stop being a parent. It doesn't matter what age the kids are. You never stop loving them, worrying about them, caring about them, wanting the best for them. And it can be heartbreaking for a parent to be bullied, manipulated, used and abused, sometimes thrown under the bus, by one of their own children. And it is only natural for a parent to blame themselves for how the child ended up. So they try to fix them, they try to rescue them, make them a better person, but usually to no avail. Now, how or why people end up as narcissists is maybe a topic for another day, but it's not uncommon that maybe one of the parents could have been a narcissist themselves, and if that's the case, quite often they teach the children to disrespect the other parent. However, even when that is the case, if there are two or more children, maybe only one of the kids becomes a narcissist, the others don't, and this further adds to the confusion. But regardless of the reason, for the sake of this video, I'm going to talk about an adult child who is narcissistic and a parent, or indeed other family members who aren't. So just as a reminder, the common characteristics of narcissism include a huge sense of entitlement. There is a lack of empathy for other people. They can be exploitative and manipulative. They can be highly disagreeable and highly resistant to any form of criticism. And these characteristics would be long-term, consistent and pervasive, not just once in a while. So the common characteristics and behaviors of an adult narcissistic child would first of all be, at a low level, maybe they only see the parents whenever they want something. Other than that, there's no contact, no phone calls, text messages, or just calling round. They see the parents as a resource. With that sense of entitlement, they don't have to earn or reciprocate anything. It is theirs by right. With narcissism, what we often see is it's other people's responsibility to make them happy. To a narcissistic child, it is a parent's job to give them what they want. Now, what others might consider to be cute stories of something someone did or said whenever they were a child, to a narcissist, they might consider these things to be embarrassing or insulting. Narcissists have this need to be seen as flawless and perfect, so struggle to be seen as anything less, even if it's just a harmless, innocent, or even cute anecdote of when they were 5 years of age. And like with all narcissists, they might not act narcissistically in front of other people. They might come across as caring, well-mannered, concerned for the parents' well-being and happiness. They are dutiful and they are respectful. It's when no one is looking that the narcissism presents itself. And here we often see the manipulative side of narcissism, presenting a public face to hide the real face. Next, they blame the parents for all of their misery, all of their shortcomings, everything that goes or has went wrong in their lives. They will blame the school that they were made to go to, the area they lived in, their failed relationships, failed business schemes, their unsatisfactory job or situation they find themselves in. It is all the parents' fault. In fact, even in their own relationships with their partners, they could be blaming the parents for their behavior, for how they are treating their partners. With narcissism, we also see a sense of superiority. They know more about everything than anyone else. Parents are perhaps not equipped to deal with this modern world. They don't understand technology properly. The narcissistic child must be consulted about everything. Where there is any kind of contention between them and someone else, especially maybe the other siblings, they will demand the parents sort it out. They will demand the parents side with them. They'll claim they're being treated unfairly or they're at some kind of unfair disadvantage. They'll demand the parents sort out the problems, get an apology for them, or cut contact with the other kids. They might use the parents to triangulate the other siblings, carry messages for them, punish or spy on their brothers and sisters, and try to recruit their parents as flying monkeys. With narcissism, we also see envy and cruelty, so there could be unkind comments, insults. Now, if the parents are retired, maybe comfortably retired, if their siblings are reasonably happy, well off, successful, there could be bitterness and resentment regardless of their own status. Narcissists have a need to be admired. No one really admires them if they're happy or reasonably successful as well. And also, they're not so good with boundaries, they're not so good with words like no. No can bring outrage, so they may even threaten the grandparents from seeing their own grandchildren if they don't comply. Or perhaps they're asking for money and the parents say no. They might guilt trip the parents with things like, well, then your grandchildren aren't going to eat this week, or we're all going to be made homeless and it will be all your fault. In some cases, as parents get older, become more frail, a narcissistic child might want more control over their finances and assets, perhaps demand that things be signed into their names, but maybe freeze the other children out. Now, they might claim that they're the only ones looking after the parents. They have the parents' best interest at heart. The other kids don't care. It is the other kids who are trying to control and manipulate. So they claim they are trying to protect the parents' best interests. Again, with narcissism, we rarely see things like fair play or negotiation. Things are never really shared out or divided equally. They either want it all or they want the lion's share. Now, whether that's attention, money, inheritance, babysitting time, whatever. We see a mixture of things like the competitive nature, the envy, being disagreeable, and again, believing they deserve more than everyone else. But again might claim that they behave this way to protect the parents from others, from their greed, or behave as if the parents owe them something. In some extreme cases, there can be what's known as elder abuse, and this can involve controlling and exploiting the parents, using up all their money, their resources, just for their own lifestyle or their own harebrained schemes. They create division to isolate their parents from other family members. And as I said earlier, if someone has a child or children who behave like this, it can be heartbreaking. It is only natural that people are going to question, perhaps even blame themselves, do what they can to help that adult narcissistic child. Try to make them see the impact of the behavior, try to reason with them. You might even find themselves making excuses for that narcissistic behavior to other people who they hurt as well. Now, I'm not saying that people with narcissistic traits can't be helped. It is a spectrum. There are many different levels and different ways in which it can manifest itself. But sometimes there is a point. There is a point at which there is no reasoning. They can't be helped. They won't be helped. They believe they are as fine as they are. It is everyone else's fault. And regardless of the relationship, sometimes the more someone tries to help a narcissist, the more they do, the more they try to pacify them, the more they give, they're actually enabling them. They are feeding that sense of entitlement. They are feeding that belief that they don't have to take any responsibility. They are showing them their toxic behavior works. Sad truth is about narcissism, the more you give, the more they demand. And it's never enough. Now, if you have a narcissistic son or daughter, I would invite you to think about speaking to a mental health professional, someone who could help you to understand and manage the impact of that behavior and to implement boundaries. Keep a hold of and don't lose whatever social support network you might have. And if you find yourself being bullied, exploited, abused, maybe consider seeking professional advice from whatever services are in your area that can advise you. But if you find this video interesting, if you find it helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel.